After coming out with two fantastic platformers in Crash Bandicoot 1 and 2, Naughty Dog were at the top of their game. In 1998, we got the third and final mainline game for Crash from Naughty Dog, Crash Bandicoot. But would Naughty Dog's changes in Crash Warped be the cherry on top of the Crash trilogy, or be its biggest downfall?
Why must you always muck in my mud? Oh look, I have a mask helping me too. We will find out which one is more powerful.
We start off immediately after the events of Crash 2, where we see Cortex's space station crash, pun intended, but yeah, Cortex spaceship crashes, and then in doing so, they release Uka Uka. Just imagine a bad version of Aku Aku, and that's basically Uka Uka. And he goes to Cortex because I guess Uka Uka's Cortex's boss. They never really state this in the series, so I'm assuming it's his boss. And since they have no more crystals and gems to power up their worldwide conquest, they use the Time Twister machine by my boy Dr. Nefarious, the original Dr. Nefarious. And his name is Entropy for short, and they use the machine to try to get the crystals and gems from the past and future. And it's Crash's and Coco's job to stop them from doing this. The story here is actually kind of detailed here. We have great character motivations, great new character appearances, and much more. It's definitely a lot more detailed than the first Crash game, Crash 1 and Crash 2 story, which might be a good or bad thing depending on what kind of story you like. But I personally like the story. It's a great setup for, warped story, and yeah, it's pretty good. Alright, the third game in the franchise, Crash does a lot more moves in this game. He gets powers from each boss you beat, and at the end of the game, I gotta say, he's pretty OP. But I'll get to the powers shortly. First, I want to talk about the level design. All the levels are great. No matter if you're at the medieval age, or the future age, or the dinosaur age, you always feel like you're actually there. All the levels feel like the time they're set in, which is all great. We have good old platforming, as always, which is great, but we also got some new levels as well. One of the most controversial parts of this game is the vehicle levels. So, some people love them, and some people hate them, but these levels are hit or miss for me. Some of them are great, like Coco's jet ski levels. The controls aren't that slippery as the other vehicle levels, but in the Insane Trilogy, they do kind of butcher the controls, and yeah, it's not that great. The controls are not that great inside the Insane Trilogy for the Coco's levels. But in the original Crash 3, Coco's jet ski levels are pretty good. They're not bad. Great enemy type and stuff, pretty good. But and also the plane level is also really good as well. I like zooming around the skies with Crash, breaking the blimps and stuff. But we also got some terrible levels, let me tell you. We got some bad levels. Racing levels, the underwater. Don't let me get me started on the underwater levels, please. Not the underwater levels. Yeah, the underwater levels are slow. Like, you go really slow. The pacing's awful. And the racing levels, they're not actually bad. It's not a bad concept. But the enemies their enemies suck. Like, if you touch an enemy, they'll bounce you away. And the obstacles are not that great, and just the controls. Crash controls awfully. Luckily, in CTR, the controls are great there, but in the racing levels here, not great. That's why they're probably not in any other games. Actually, no, there are in other games like Wrath of Cortex, but they don't pop up that frequently because they're not, they're not the best part of this game. It's kind of a huge letdown, honestly. But yeah, another thing I forgot to mention is you can also play as Coco, which is a great addition. She kind of plays like basically the exact same as Crash, but it is pretty cool to play as Coco since she is in the second game, and I don't think you got to play as her inside Crash 2, the original Crash 2. So it's great that you can play as Coco in Crash 3. Another great thing is the great addition that Crash 3 put is the time travels. These are great. It's a really good way to get better at the levels. And you try to beat your fastest time, and it's really good. It shows because time travels have been a staple for the series, and in the Insane Trilogy, they put them in every single game. Crash 1, Crash 2, and Crash 3, they all have time travels inside the Insane Trilogy, so that's really good. So, let's talk about the bosses in this game. These are actually really good, and they're distinct and unique. The first boss is Tiny Tiger. He's pretty simple. You dodge a spear, and then he'll send tigers after you. You dodge the tigers, rinse and repeat until he's dead. Then you'll lock the first power-up, the first of the many power-ups in this game, which is the Super Body Slam. The Super Body Slam isn't that good, though, honestly. It's basically just the Body Slam in Crash 2. I think Naughty Dog had no idea what to put, like what power-ups to put here, so they basically just put the Body Slam, but it still was great fun to use. The next boss, and probably my favorite boss in this game, is Dingo Dao. My man is Dingo Dao, one of the new characters and one of the best characters. Like he comes in Crash 4 It's About Time for a reason. He's a fan favorite and he's a great character. He's a blast. This is a great boss battle. You dodge his flamethrower and then you attack him. It sounds simple, but trust me, this boss fight is great. And Dingo Dao is honestly a great new addition to to this game. And his accent's top notch. His accent's great.
You thrashed me, mate. No worries, but you'll soon be up against much worse.
After you beat Dingo Dao, you get the double jump ability, which is pretty fun to use, and it is a great addition. Crash 4 even puts the double jump back in, and it's really good. It's not even that OP as well, because when you double jump, you lose your momentum a lot. So it's not OP, you can't really use it in time travel that much, and I think they cleverly used it great, because it's a good way to skip parts of the levels and do some shortcuts, but you lose lots of your momentum, so you kind of have to gain it back. So it is really good. Then the next fight we have here is the Master of Time himself, Dr. Nefias Androphy. He's a really good boss fight, and is also a great new character. Basically, he throws fireballs and stuff at you, and then he'll tire himself out, and then he gives you a path to hit him, rinse and repeat, and then you beat him. Like I said, it sounds simple. These bosses sound simple. The Crash bosses are great because they have a really simple concept, and they use it really well. And yeah, it's a really good boss fight. And then after that, you get probably my favorite power-up in this whole game, the Death Tornado. The Death Tornado spin. It is a really great power-up. You can glide with this power-up, and you can hit enemies with this power-up. And yeah, it's just great. So next right here we have Engine, which is I guess Cortex's new like apprentice, because Brio kind of betrayed him in Crash 2. So now you have Engine. He's a great boss fight as well. Like I said, these boss fights are great. And yeah, he's a great boss fight. And it's the first fight they use Coco as. It's a space boss fight, and it's awesome, man. It's probably the best boss fight in Crash 3. I know I said I like Dingo Dao's, but it's great. It is really great. And after you beat Engine, you get the Fruit Bazooka, which is awesome, man. It lets you hit enemies and crates, and it's really cool. And like I said, it's not that OP because or it's not that spammy because you can't run and then shoot. You have to stop all your momentum and then shoot it. But yeah, it's really good. And then the final boss is Neo Cortex. He's a great boss fight as well, no questions asked. And it is a deserving final boss. Some people were kind of disappointed at Crash 2's Dr. Cortex's boss fight. I wasn't that let down of it. I will be making a video of Crash 2 hopefully, and I'll talk about the final boss there. But yeah, Crash 3's Dr. Cortex fight is great. And after you beat him, you get the speed shoes. They can crash faster, and they mainly put it in to help you with the time trials. But yeah, these boss fights to me are all great, and these are some of my favorite from the franchise, man. And you also get great power-ups as well, but all of them stacked together, Crash is pretty OP, and it makes the game pretty easy, which I'll talk about right now. One of the problems I have with Crash 3 though, it's its difficulty. This difficulty in this game it's non-existent. This game is pretty easy without the power-ups, but with the power-ups, the levels honestly become a joke. This game is really easy, which is a problem because Crash is recognized as a hard platformer. People even call him the Dark Souls of platforming, right? So going from Crash 1 and 2, those are pretty hard games. And then going to Crash 3, which is a really easy game. It's not a great transition. And I think Naughty Dog kind of ran out of ideas, so they just decided to add stuff like vehicle levels and power-ups. And it made the game really easy to me. And it's kind of a shame because, like, you know, Crash is known for being hard. And yeah, this game is pretty easy to me. I'm not saying this game is easy. Like, every single person will you won't die at all. It still is pretty hard. It's just like compared to the other games, and because I've played lots of Crash games, I know my way around stuff, so it's pretty easy for me. But it's still, this game is hella fun still, and even with the easy difficulty, still is a blast of a game. So let me talk about the characters for a sec. We got a bunch of new and old characters returning in Crash 3. We got old characters like Dr. Neo Cortex, Tiny Tiger, and Engine return. And some of the new characters that come in that I talked about were Dingo Dao and Trophy. I'm sorry, I say it like that. It's Entropy, but I call him Entropy. But yeah, and we got Uka Uka. And I like that there's other villains apart from Cortex in this game. They all taunt Crash as he beats the levels. and goes closer to finishing the game. It really gives the characters personalities and adds variety, and it builds up the Cortex boss fight. Yeah, and I like how there's multiple bosses, because in Crash 1 and 2, it was just Cortex, mainly the boss. But in Crash 3, you have multiple bosses, Dingodile, Trophy, Uka Uka, and all of them are teaming up to beat Crash. And it feels like you know, like a full-on big gang trying to beat Crash right now. It's like a cult trying to beat Crash, and it's like multiple people are teaming up to beat Crash, and it's really good. It's really good. Once you 100% beat the game, you get a secret ending. 100% beating the game is actually not that hard, unlike Crash 4, which I talked about in the Crash 4 review. Go check that out if you haven't. I made it just a couple weeks ago, or depending on when you're watching this. But yeah, I made a Crash 4 review. Go check that out. But yeah, completing the game in Crash 4 is really hard, and in this game is not that bad. You have to get all the gems like in other games, and they add time trial relics. But I think you only need gold or sapphire time trial relics to complete the game, so you don't need platinum. And it's not that hard to complete the game, honestly. It's really fun. And once you beat, you get a secret ending. You do the boss fight again, and this time the time twister gives in on itself. And since Entropy isn't there to keep it stabilized, Uka Uka, Entropy, and Cortex all go through a wormhole and are kind of like stuck in this interdimensional prison. It's kind of hard to say where they are. And they also turn as babies, which is a cool effect, I guess. Like, I don't know what to say to that, but yeah, it's a really cool ending. And is it worth completing the game? Up to you. I think this game is fun completing with or without the ending. Completing this game is actually really fun, unlike Crash 4. But yeah, it's really cool. The music in this game is top notch. Like, it's great. Especially the time twister theme. I don't know if I'll keep it on right now. Like I said, I'm not trying to get copyright, but check it out. It's a masterpiece. The time twister theme, like the main like warp room theme for Crash 3, it's great. It's so good that Crash Bash and rather Cortex copied it, and they kind of just remixed it because of how good it is. Like, it's great. It's probably my favorite Crash song, or at least top 3. It is great. And not just that one, they have all the other songs. Like the medieval theme is great, and they just, you know, the songs are great. Like, it's not surprising for me, because Crash always has great songs, no matter if you're playing, you know, Twin Sanity or Wrath of Cortex or Mind of a Mutant or something, or the original trilogy. You know, they always have great songs, you know. Even if the game is good or bad, like, you can still enjoy the songs. It's great, you know. And yeah, Crash 3, you know, continues the staple of having great songs, having some of the best songs in the series. Like I said, you know, go check out Crash's songs. I don't know if I can put them on, because, you know, I'm not trying to get copyright right now, but go check them out. They're great. So overall, for me, Crash Bandicoot is a great game with great new levels, new characters, and great bosses, and yeah, great music as well. And yeah, some of the power-ups are pretty OP, and unfortunately the vehicle levels aren't that great, and it's kind of a problem because they do take up half the levels in the whole game. So yeah, it is a bit jarring, but this game is still really, really good. It's great. Like, I'm speechless. Like, Naughty Dog really made basically a perfect trilogy, and it's kind of inconsistent and it has more problems than the first 2 games. I think, like, it's still a really good game, and it's my favorite, I think, out of the trilogy. I might even like it more than Crash 4, because I had so much fun with this game, even with all the problems with it. I love using the power-ups. They were OP, but they were so fun to use. The new characters were great. The animation looks great, and it's great. I think that, yeah, this is probably my favorite Crash game, and it's probably be a great experience that I'll be replaying over and over for probably the rest of my life. And yeah, but I can understand why people like Crash 2 more. Recently, people have been giving more of a liking of Crash 2 and talking positive about it, which it deserves. And I think people like it more just because it's more consistent, and the vehicle levels aren't as much there or as much prominent. So I think critically the best one for me is Crash 2, which we'll be talking about the next part of this series if you guys want it. So stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, that's my opinion on Crash 3, and yeah, that's why it's my favorite. Howdy, partners. Well, it looks like it's the end of the video here. Thank you all for watching till the end. I truly appreciate it. If you haven't, please go, you know, just, you already know the drill. Go like and subscribe if you haven't. Like, you know, just for the support, I would really appreciate it. And this video took a little longer because I tried to make sure that there was not that much editing mistakes. My last video about Crash 4 had lots of editing mistakes and audio mistakes. So this time I want to make sure it was clean, and I think I did that pretty well. I mean, I hope I did. And yeah, also the thumbnail took long to draw because I think I'm planning to just draw my thumbnails from now on and drawing the Crash 3 this thumbnail. It took a long time. So I really appreciate it if you you know, like to subscribe and share it, you know, blah blah blah. You get the point. But yeah, what do you guys think about Crash 3? Leave in the comment section below. And next one in the series will probably be Crash 2. I probably will be doing other stuff. I'll probably, you know, continue, like, I'll post my drawing videos obviously still, and talk about other series. But yeah, until next time.